Johnny Carson was arguably the best and most beloved talk show host of all time in the history of American television. His canny wit, effortless magnetism, and impeccable timing made him an iconic figure in the entertainment world. But behind that courteous smile and friendly banter was a man whose private life was far more problematic and much darker than what his audience saw every night. From tumultuous relationships to inner demons, the real Johnny Carson is a story of contrast between fame and private turmoil, a story that is both fascinating and tragic. In this video, we'll peel back the curtain on the real Johnny Carson and uncover the secrets that he kept hidden from the public for so long. We'll explore the highs and lows of his personal life, from his troubled marriages and strained relationships with his children to the emotional toll of fame and isolation. So buckle up, because we're about to take a deep dive into the dark side of Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson's untouchable fame and hidden struggles. Johnny Carson was a man of accolades, and there was no denying his influence on television. With 6 primetime Emmys, the Television Academy's 1980 Governor's Award, and even a Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1992, Carson was, without a doubt, a beloved figure. But as the cameras clicked off, a different Johnny emerged. A man who struggled with addiction, relationships, and personal demons. While Johnny's career was well documented, his darker side wasn't widely known until after his passing in 2005. Many details about his private life came to light, and it turned out that Johnny's personal life was anything but glamorous. Behind that beloved, charming persona lay a troubled soul battling issues that often spilled over into his personal relationships. A troubled childhood, the origins of his inner demons. John William Carson was born on October 23, 1925 in Corning, Iowa. To many, his childhood seemed fairly ordinary. He was raised by his mother, Ruth Elizabeth Carson, a homemaker, and his father, Homer Lloyd Kit Carson, who worked for a local power company. The Carson family lived a seemingly typical small-town life, relocating to Norfolk, Nebraska, when Johnny was 8 years old. However, life at home was far from ideal. Johnny's relationship with his mother was strained and at times downright toxic. He often referred to her as Lady Macbeth, the toughest of them all. Ruth's domineering personality left deep scars, and her emotional manipulation created lasting effects on Johnny's psyche. Their relationship was so fractured that, when Ruth passed away, Johnny chose not to attend her funeral, saying coldly that the wicked witch is finally dead. This fraught relationship with his mother set the tone for much of Johnny's life. It's no surprise that he developed serious trust issues and insecurities that would follow him into adulthood. Johnny's struggle with alcohol and his volatile temper. Beneath his polished exterior, Johnny Carson was a man struggling with vices that often threatened to derail his career and personal relationships. One of his most well-documented issues was his relationship with alcohol. He was a heavy drinker, often using alcohol as a crutch to deal with the pressures of fame and the insecurities rooted in his childhood. Alcohol had a significant impact on his personal relationships, particularly with his spouses. Johnny was married 4 times, and each relationship ended in turmoil. His drinking often led to severe mood swings, which he couldn't keep in check even when in public. During his second marriage to Joanne Copeland, his alcoholism became a central issue, causing arguments and mistrust, and eventually leading to their divorce. Johnny's temper was legendary, and while audiences saw a charming and witty entertainer on screen, those who knew him personally often saw a different side. Reports from colleagues and friends paint a picture of a man who could be cold, callous, and at times verbally abusive. During commercial breaks, he could flip from a congenial host to someone entirely different, aloof and sometimes harsh. The lonely king of late night. Despite being America's favorite late-night companion, Johnny Carson was, at his core, a deeply lonely man. He rarely let anyone into his private world, and the persona he showed on camera was starkly different from his true self. While his guests and audience saw a confident, effortless entertainer, off-screen Johnny was awkward, introverted, and often anxious in social settings. To cope with social anxiety, Johnny carried a deck of cards, using magic tricks as a way to bridge the gap between himself and others. This coping mechanism dates back to his childhood, when he first discovered magic at age 12 and began performing as the Great Carsoni. Magic became both a passion and a defense, a way for Johnny to feel in control when social situations became overwhelming. Dick Cavett, a fellow TV host and friend, once commented on Johnny's social discomfort, saying that he had never known anyone who found social situations as difficult as Johnny did. While he was charismatic and engaging in front of the camera, that magic seemed to vanish when the audience wasn't there, leaving a man who often felt lost and out of place. A complicated love life, 4 marriages, countless affairs. Johnny Carson's love life was tumultuous, to say the least. He was married 4 times, and each marriage was marked by its own set of problems. His first marriage to Jody Wolcott ended in divorce after a decade, largely due to Johnny's infidelity and drinking. His second marriage to Joanne Copeland was similarly rocky. The couple fought frequently, and Johnny's jealousy and mistrust only worsened as his drinking escalated. During their divorce proceedings, it came out that Joanne had been having an affair, and Johnny's response was anything but calm. He reportedly raided her secret apartment in a fit of rage and fell into a downward spiral of alcohol-fueled despair. This episode left a mark on Johnny, further deepening his distrust of those closest to him. Johnny's third marriage, to Joanna Holland, also ended in divorce after more than a decade together. By the time he married his fourth wife, Alexis Moss, Johnny was an older, more subdued version of himself. Their relationship lasted until his death, but even it was not without its dark moments. During their honeymoon in Italy, Johnny reportedly berated Alexis in public, warning her that if she displeased him again, their marriage wouldn't last. Although they remained together, Johnny's harsh behavior during these moments revealed the darker side of his personality. A father from afar. Johnny's strained relationship with his children. Johnny Carson was not only a talk show host and comedian, he was also a father of 3 sons. However, his relationship with his children was complicated and at times almost non-existent. Johnny's dedication to his career often meant that his family took a back seat, and his absence during crucial moments in his children's lives left a lasting impact. His sons, Christopher, Corey, and Richard, grew up largely without their father's presence. Johnny's work schedule and his struggles with alcohol meant he was rarely there for them, and his relationships with his children suffered as a result. The distance between Johnny and his sons grew wider over the years, and while they reconciled at times, the emotional gap was never fully bridged. Tragically, Johnny's son Richard died in a car accident in 1991, an event that devastated Johnny and left him with a deep sense of guilt over the lack of connection he had with his children. It was a stark reminder of the sacrifices he had made for fame and the personal cost of his success. The dark side of fame. Isolation and regret. Johnny Carson was the king of late-night television, but the price of that crown was high. Fame brought with it not only fortune and influence, but also intense isolation. Johnny was fiercely private, rarely giving interviews and even avoiding social gatherings with colleagues and friends. His aloofness was often mistaken for arrogance, but in reality, it was a defense mechanism to protect himself from the emotional pain that had haunted him for years. In his later years, Johnny became increasingly reclusive, retreating from the public eye and spending much of his time alone. He gave up the spotlight almost entirely after his retirement in 1992, making only a few brief appearances. The man who once entertained millions with his humor and charm had become a shadow of his former self, haunted by regrets and the realization that his pursuit of fame had left him with little else. The legacy of Johnny Carson. Johnny Carson's life was a tale of contrasts. On the one hand, he was the affable, quick-witted host who brought laughter into the homes of millions of Americans. On the other, he was a deeply troubled man, battling inner demons that led to failed relationships, strained family ties, and an overwhelming sense of loneliness. While many remember Johnny Carson as the undisputed king of late-night TV, it's important to understand that there was far more to him than the smiling face audiences saw each night. His story is a reminder that fame often comes at a great personal cost, and that even the most beloved public figures can harbor deep, dark secrets. So, were you surprised by the dark side of Johnny Carson? Or did you always have an inkling that there was more to him than what meets the eye? Well, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss any of our upcoming deep dives into the real lives of your favorite celebrities. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.